Hi, IndieGems here, bringing you another video. This time we're looking at SCHiM, a puzzle platformer released on the 18th of July. Let's dive in and take a look at this innovative and original puzzler. I really enjoyed my time with SCHiM, a funny looking blob that represents the inner essence of our protagonist that is ripped out of him during a particularly stressful period of his life. It is up to us to get back to him and rejoin as one. As we follow him around, watching his day-to-day occurrences like going to work, travelling around the city and attending social events, we skip from shadow to shadow in pursuit of him. I really enjoyed this interaction with the character. It added a nice story element to the game which I wasn't expecting, and even though stories without words can often be problematic to understand sometimes, this story made perfect sense and was quite emotional. The different locales he finds himself in make for some really imaginative and original puzzle playgrounds, jumping from shadow to shadow in zoos, playgrounds, factories, on the street and many other interesting places. The world of SCHiM is quite entertaining and feels alive with people going about their business and finding visual treats off the beaten track, like a fireman rescuing a cat can feel rewarding and encouraging exploration. Everything just looks amazing, with an innovative aesthetic that is so cool. Even though it looks basic in a way, there is so much detail everywhere that places just look real. Gameplay is as simple as jumping from one shadow to the next in pursuit of the other half. Things start off quite simple, and I was worried that the game was going to be too easy, but the difficulty does ramp up when you have to interact with objects to create shadows and manipulate objects to get things moving so that you can jump on their shadow. There's puzzles like changing traffic lights to get pedestrians moving so you can hop into their shadow, or hitch a ride on a moving vehicle. There are also unobtrusive objects like parasols and washing lines that can propel you over great distances. The majority of the game does involve just finding a path to your next destination, but I never got bored jumping from shadows as there are some original mechanics and interesting objects to interact with. I think there could have been more manipulation of objects to make the puzzles a little more difficult. I did get stuck a couple of times in the game, but that ended up being because I wandered off too far away from the path I was meant to take and couldn't get back. There is a restart button, but it does take you back to the start of a level, but because levels are broken up into tiny sections, it's not too much of a pain if this does happen. There are other SCHiMs in the game, and you will see them as you travel around places sometimes. They appear when you find hidden objects, usually in out of way places, and other times finding these objects creates shadows you need to progress. The other SCHiMs really confused me and I wasn't sure what I was meant to do with them. There is an achievement to reunite them all, but reunite them with who and what and how? There is an interactive button, but it didn't seem to do anything, so I really don't know what all that was about, and I feel like I have missed out on a facet of the game because it wasn't explained in the short tutorial at the start. There are also achievements for finishing the game with only one jump allowed, which makes it much harder, and a risky mode where my understanding is that you only have 20 lives to complete the whole game. It is a shame that you cannot play chosen levels after you complete the game for mopping up achievements. As far as I can tell, you need to play through the whole game again, which I find frustrating and needless. SCHiM is a highly original game, and that is not often said in a cluttered market where the same ideas are churned out over and over again. You can tell a lot of work has gone into designing these areas, and some of the puzzles are very clever, if not a little easy in most areas. Just as a puzzle game, it stands out from the pack, but then you have the added bonus of a beautiful aesthetic that is forever making you smile and nod with appreciation, and then a half decent story to boot. I have played many puzzle games with silent stories and they mostly never make sense, so to achieve an emotional story as well should be praised. The game takes just over 6 hours to complete, but there are harder modes if you want to repeat the journey afterwards, which will add an extra dimension of challenge for sure. Okay, that's it for another video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and a comment, and I'll see you next time.